Hi there, another progress with a video on Visby. I've done a bunch of animation work. I've actually drawn a few sprites here. So I've drawn basically four sprites for each of these kids that are in the center of the screen. One is a girl, one is a boy. So I tried with 2 frames and I realized that doesn't really work. And having them just float around like the crowd down there, that wasn't really a nice thing. So I wanted to have them a little bit bouncy, these 2 kids. So I drew 4 sprites, just left foot forward, right foot forward, and then the feet down. I kind of like it. Obviously, this is very simplistic. I don't do this much, but I thought, oh, this is kind of charming in a way. I scaled down the rat as well. It's not as big as before. The crowd doesn't have a cooldown on their reaction, so they kind of just play it as the rat is inside the radius. The animation for these 2 kids, the path they're following, is the same thing as the guard. They're just running around on the path, and the rat also has a path to follow. It's kind of a nice way to add some variety to the scene. I wanted to show how the animation actually works. So the youth and the boy. The youth is the girl. You can see there's 4 sprites and the text and a normal map. So the thing that I added to the animation system is basically that I have material curves, and these ones are basically animating the material on these 2 sprites. I can basically change any parameter. If I had color to change, I would change the color, but I'm changing the textures. And as I'm doing that, I'm basically overriding the texture that's on these materials. I've also done it on the captain, as you can see, the captain. That's pretty easy to do. You just flip the sprite horizontally and then you just draw it backwards. It's not super great. It works. And there's another thing over here. I added a cage for the bird. I didn't scale the bird down yet, but I'm probably going to do that. And I added a lady here. I'm not sure if I'm going to make her a merchant or if I'm going to add another person here that's going to be the merchant. But to get the bird, you're going to have to do something. To get the rat, you're going to have to do something as well. And I don't know if you need to get the rat. We'll have to see. So to do this animation with these sprites, there wasn't actually any support for that in Blender, not that I could see. So I have to do it the hacky and kind of ugly way. I was going to show that just in code, basically. So for the girl example, like this is the way I do the code. I create something, and then animate the NPC is basically an entity that has a mesh on it. So I can find the mesh component, and that has the mesh. I can find 2 animations, that's the movement animations. And then I set it up, so okay, I'm going through all the movement animation. I'm gonna set these frames to have these textures. And there's 4 frames that I have. So there's a diffuse and there's a normal. So I go through all the frames in the animation. I do a bunch of work. First I load the file, the picture, and I create the texture for that, and I do certain texture filtering modes that I need, and I create the texture. I use a new sampler index. Like I don't really know what I'm adding it to, so I'm just adding it to a specific index that I know is free. And I also do that for the normal map, the normal texture map, and add it to a different sampler index. And then I create 2 of these tracks. These 2 tracks is stuff that I'm gonna add on to the animation. And this is the hacky ugly thing. Blender didn't have a way of setting up these frames internally. There was an add-on I could add, which is animate all, but I haven't tried that yet. Where you can basically add animation on anything inside Blender. I'm not sure if that actually exports well with the FBX, but you can see what I do. So frame index 0, there's a couple of frames in the beginning, 3 frames or 2 frames in the beginning where it actually uses that. Then it goes to the jumping frame, and then it goes to a landing again, and then it goes to this other jumping frame. It's pretty easy. You just add time keys and the shader parameter keys, and that's basically how it runs. I think it works pretty well. It's kind of funny. I'll see what else I'm gonna do. I'm kind of doing gameplay style stuff now. I have a bunch of ideas, and I've also been reading about Visby in the Middle Ages, medieval times. It's quite an interesting city. Denmark basically attacked Visby in the 14th century, I think, and killed 1,000 or 2,000 people and created mass graves. And yeah, 100 years later or so, Sweden took it back. The reason there was so much interest in Visby, the city, was because it was a sort of a trade hub for the Baltic Sea. And there was interest from Germans, Russians, Swedes, Danes, quite a lot. And pirates, which is the interesting part. Also, what I have an idea for is, it's a little bit on the naughty side, the characters that I want to create. So, we'll see how that goes. I'm kind of having fun creating this right now, so I'm gonna keep going. Thanks. Bye.